You walk on campus those days, and they got the tables with the credit card, and they telling you about the credit card. You deserve this credit card, this, that, and the third, but they're not saying, hey, you got to pay this bag.
Yeah, the interest is crazy. Yeah,
you go run that card up, you look down the road, you done did the American dream so far, and now you look up and it's 20, 30. If you put the school stuff in there, you about to be 60, 70,000 in debt before you even get going.
Yeah.
Then you graduate a 4-year school, and then turn around now. What's the next thing you got to do? I got to get the new car because I got to get to the job. And now I get the job and I only make 50,000. My debt already 70,000. I'm already flipped upside down, and I don't know how to get out.
Yeah.
And I'm stressed.
Behind the eight ball before you even start.
Before you come out the gate.
That's a fact. Yeah.
Funny thing on the flip side is like, I got a master's degree, but my parents were not like good education. My parents, Jamaican father, down south mother. They bought their first building before they bought their first car. So I grew up with my parents. They owned the grocery store, they owned the liquor store, they owned several houses and several buildings. And neither one of them made it past like 9th grade. Right? So they weren't like all about like going to college. Their plan was for me to like take over the business and run the business. But I had my own kind of vision. And I went in the military. And when I was in the military, just when I was getting ready to get out, my dad called me like for me to come take over. And I was like, wasn't my dream, Dad, you know what I'm saying? So when we had sold everything, whatever, and I went to the corporate route, you know, but like, I think a lot of people like, so I grew up with parents who had a business. I grew up doing the payroll, the bookkeeping. I think some people in this generation, they like the idea of entrepreneurship, but it's only the idea. They don't realize like how to actually
the hustle and grind that comes
with it. Like, so don't just get a business and be like an entrepreneur making 17 grand a year thinking you're doing something, right? So if you're gonna do a business, do a business. But there's nothing wrong with working with somebody. You gotta really look and see like how much you're willing to put into it. Like I knew that my parents worked all the time. You know, I don't work as much as them and I make more money. Right? So it's like you gotta really kind of like balance that out.
This is the thing people don't understand. People don't understand if you do an entrepreneur around how you might, because if you look at like social media now, everybody's entrepreneur, got a business, but they're not telling you step by step, like, and you might have to go work at a corporate or whatever to get the capital. Like my manager said, it's gonna take me a minute to get here, but I got a strategy, a game plan. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and everybody's missed those foundational steps. And you jump out there and do a business, and then you turn my business failed, but you didn't have a solid foundation to even get it going. You didn't plan for 3-4 years down the road. You planned for next week, I'm gonna have $1 million entity and I'm good to go. That ain't how that shit go. You gotta go through the repos. You gotta go through the evictions. You gotta go through the no's to get to the yes and get that tough skin. That might take you a couple of years before you get there. See, like, you know, you go into the trade with them. I talk to people, I trade, I wanna know the trade. And you tell them, you got about 3-4 years. You like, they ain't teaching me how to trade for real on social media. That ain't fucking real trade.
Yeah, you gotta grind it out. My dad owned a whole business. And he worked that store. He worked at the store from like 8 in the morning to like 2.
Okay.
Then his brother would come and work in the store. But my dad also would go work at a hotel downtown where he always like worked at. He worked there for like 30 years. Even though he ran his own business, he didn't want to quit. His friends worked there. He was like the head banquet waiter. So he ended up retiring from there while running his own business. And so that was like his little side extra. And all the little money he made from there was like his little extra money that he just put in his own personal savings for like emergency, you know. So
that's
like,
dope, man.
So it's like he always worked, you know what I'm saying, like his own business and then working the job, like just to make some extra money. So, and I think people are like start that entrepreneurship, and like I'm gonna do a YouTube channel. That's the easy one you want to do, and it's like, okay, what else you doing?
Yeah, and people are so obsessed with overnight success. They want that microwave success, and they don't understand that. The people that they see with like the ultra level of success, they had to grind it out. Nobody looking at their YouTube content, for instance, or nobody participating in their business. They don't know that it took years, if not a decade or more, to build that empire. And they're like, oh my gosh, he's a millionaire. He's only like 40. I can do that too. And I'm like, no, bro, it takes years of nobody really supporting. And
it is also a risk level. What's your level of risk? Like once you have kids, your risk level changes. Like if you're single by yourself, if you don't make it, you can grind out of your car, whatever you like. For real, right? Like but when you have a kid, it's like, okay, you know what? I want to do my own thing, but I'm gonna work the day job, 9 to 5. I'm gonna do my hustle at night. You know, it's gonna suck. You know what I'm saying? Like I did my master's degree in night school, right? Working full time.
Wow.
Right? So it's like you're gonna grind out some years like that. But that's the price. I was talking to a lady the other day. She just moved here. Her husband is getting ready to move. They're selling the business back where they're coming from. And she's gonna start a business here. And she was like, when they get here, I'm gonna tell my husband we're gonna spend 1 month together, and then he can go ahead and do his business because I won't see him for the year. But it's like, be aware that that's what it is, right? At least she recognizes that her husband comes and starts his business here. She ain't gonna see her husband. He gonna be working that business for a year. And you gotta be okay with that.
Yeah,
You gotta be okay
have
with
a good
that.
foundation in order for that to operate like that. But I feel like even when we started our business, I was still an officer, so I was able to. We had a security of me having my regular salary and also health care and the kids. So it was like that was important for us to navigate and opening a business for the first 5 years. Because initially the first year we was in the red, like when we started business, we just nervous and it's a scary movement, and it's scary. My wife she was a New York City public school teacher, teach special education and making good bread, and I was like, and she just came home and was like, Tim, I want to open up this preschool and navigate in this direction next year. And I was like, oh no, this is insane. I was like, we getting regular money that's coming in, and now you're talking about basically giving money and having employees and having commercial space and making sure people make payments and families, and also being responsible for kids and their safety and their well-being and having insurance. There's a lot that comes along with it, but it's also on top of me and us just navigating with Tim. You stay at corrections, you stay getting your regular salary. And the funny thing is my salary was going, I want to say 75% of it was going to the teachers. Initially we had 2 teachers that we hired. Now we have, I think it's about 8. So initially we had 2 teachers and we were paying them. And we didn't have the students initially when the school opened up to support the salary for the teachers. So we was just coming out of pocket, just hitting bread up, and it was like, oh, she was sweating like, I don't know, this may not, work, but we stayed consistent and just, it blossomed. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, the seeds were planted and it grew, and now we're able to kind of have, this lifestyle of having a business and also having people that's been there for 6-7 years that have the relationship and the rapport that we feel comfortable and everything is able to operate in that fashion. So it's a blessing.
People forget, because you got to pay that payroll no matter what.
Payroll conversion, that's how we're accurate people in that notion of like, listen, I'd rather not get paid, or we not going out this weekend, or we not going to a restaurant. These people working for us, they getting paid before we touching any sort of money. So that's just our, me and my wife, that's just our nature, saying the people who are taking care of and doing the stuff that we're asking them to do, we're making sure that they're not waiting for the check. We never had, luckily, I'm not saying it couldn't happen in a business, but luckily we never had to say, oh, we can't pay you this every 2 weeks. We can't pay you this, wait. But we fortunately enough, we didn't have to operate in that capacity. But it's challenging. Even with the rental joint, I was thinking that's because you have boots on the ground for that. And I think we try to navigate that, and we try to navigate it out here. And we didn't have the boots on the ground to kind of like navigate the rental flip side. So we had contractors, but we was out here, and we kind of trusted certain, and we were able to sell it and cut our losses, but it didn't map out just because we didn't have the people in that area that we was working at, or that we had the rental spot. And it was like, nope, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work because we don't have nobody really keeping an eye on this transaction the way we need it.
But that's the key thing you say right there, like that people don't talk about neither, is you might have a business you think is a good play, it worked for you.
Yeah.
I tried, it failed. Don't mean you told me wrong, it just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But I might have to find my niche.
Yep.
Like people don't understand that. So maybe they don't work for somebody, you're a scam.
And sometimes it ain't even a failure. My father, liquor store burned down.
Whoa.
And he believed that it was arson by a competitor, back in the day. And my mom talked about how he was like depressed for a few months, and then he got back up and started a brand new
I
business.
said, what you crying for? They finally gonna fix it though. I told myself, what you crying
Right.
for?
It's
They
like
gonna
he
fix it.
got back up and built a new store. Right. This time he didn't do liquor at the next store because he thought that might have been like.
That pop shit did another liquor store. I'm back, man.
Like yeah, groceries and the butcher shop. You know.
Nah, it's dope. That's fire.
But he definitely was awesome. Jamaican dude. He did every kind of odd job you can imagine, like a Jamaican. Traditional stereotype, right?
5 jobs.
TV repair.
Yeah.
He can make furniture. You was talking about buying property.
Yeah.
I remember like tarring the roof with my dad. Like
No way.
he
That's
knew
a
how to
good
fix
memory.
all kind of shit. Right?
Yeah.
Just like old school dudes know how to fix shit. They didn't pay for anybody to do nothing. You need a fence put up? No, we're not gonna pay for that. We're not doing
Yeah.
Fence ain't that was my daddy too.
Yeah,
Man.
no,
Come on, Pop.
Need a sidewalk? No, we ain't got money for that. Right?
I had to raise my dad to put a radio in one of my first cars. I'll never forget this shit. He did this shit to my sister and me. So we tell these stories all the time. But you could cut the car fully off, key in your hand, the radio still was with you. And he done ran every bitch to the hot wire, man. So many times you forget, you might turn it down. This bad we had a cell phone, you couldn't connect to you. Flip it and you talk here. You'll forget you turned the radio down, not off. Cut the car off and leave it. You go on, play ball, whatever, and come back. That bitch, you look and the radio still lit.
I remember I was probably about 15, and someone had a guitar, and my dad grabbed it and played it. And I'm like, what the fuck you
What?
play a guitar? Right, it's like, you ain't get past 9th grade. You play the piano, you play the guitar, you fixing all kind of shit. I'm like, what the Jamaican school system, boy? Like, in the backwood ass country, in one school, together. Right? So it's crazy how that be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's wild, man.
Shit, I can't play no instrument.
So why do y'all think that this information is like held back from us in our community back in the States?
What information?
As far as like financial freedom and how to build your credit, how to purchase property and be.
We were bought, this is just my intake. Y'all can tell me if I'm wrong with your opinion, but I just believe because we were brought here to be workers the whole entire time, not to be successful.
Okay.
You got to think, when we were stumbled upon, wherever it may have been, let's just say Africa, they saw us as wealthy, as a threat. So now how can we, if you listen to do your studies, they snatching people as they're going to get water, or you going to, you're randomly picked up. So now you separate us and take us in different lands. You don't know where you are, so now you're trying to figure out, this is what you're supposed to do now, is work. You wasn't supposed to read. All the books were taken from you, so now how do you read? How do you gain knowledge? You can't read.
Right.
So now if you read, you're threatened or you're killed. So now you don't have the knowledge. So the moment, you got to think, that's generations of that happening. Or you're lighter than me, so you might have been in the house. Not being funny. No, I'm just using that. No, that's real talk.
Yeah.
So you might have been
Colorism is a thing.
It's real.
You're getting a whole different experience because you're around seeing the dining and this, but now you get treated a certain way. Watch how this works.
Yeah.
Now, if I tell Massa that them field niggas out there, they out there reading and all, I might get an extra piece of chicken or whatever. So now that's the crab in the bucket mentality. So now nobody can get ahead because we're too busy fighting. Now you got that for generations going on.
I would say that still exists to a certain degree. That still
For sure.
exists to this
So
day.
that's why.
But it's not. And the funny thing is, just moved out here, and I know that's a separate section, a separate topic. It's in different countries, so you can see the Mexicans out here, the light-skinned Mexicans. You can tell that they different cars, different houses. So I feel like it's just by traveling, it's an actual like a universal world situation that lighter your skin complexion is the more opportunities that you potentially can have. There's networking and that. I feel like that's a worldwide issue, but. Just oppression, just like oppression is real, and I feel like it's generations of oppression, and it's a snowball effect of how it can look. 40, 50, 60 years later, it's still oppression. There's still different ways that they don't want you to have the information, have the knowledge, and they still want you to operate in a certain capacity. Me being a correctional officer for 10 years in Rikers Island, you could see how oppression works in that capacity. So we just talking about how we not getting information on not leveling up and not being CEOs or not owning businesses and entrepreneurs. But there's oppression in the jail systems and seeing that and saying, well, you know that there's white people, you know that there's Asian people, you know that there's Indian people out here doing similar crimes, selling domestic violence, but it's not handled in the same capacity where I was just looking at it like, yo, I'm only seeing like 3% of white people in New York City jails. And I was sitting there, debating with my officers every day, like, and they just, Tim, here goes Hodges again. He's talking about his pro-black talk. But I be like, y'all not seeing this is real. This is like, it's staring y'all in the face every day and y'all saying these dudes is crooks and this and that. But y'all don't understand the snowball effect and what is going on and why they, situated in this area in the projects and why they may not getting the same level of education. They're not getting the books. They're not getting that same information as to how to succeed. And everybody is going to a liquor store and going, getting alcohol and doing all types of things and flip money in a different capacity. So it's real. It's real. And I was living it, outside and going into it. But trying my best to talk to these dudes and give them positive encouragement and reinforcement. But listen, there was times I literally broke down and cried with these dudes because they was in there for certain things that weren't necessarily justified situations, but it's a lot. But it's an unfortunate world that we live in, and it's a blessing to be out of the United States, out of that situation.
It's a privilege, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like to see this generation now, this younger generation behind us, that they starting to catch it.
Yeah.
You see it, they starting to catch it. And then you got the ones now where if we have this knowledge, like I was saying, you giving it to the kids now. Like my son and my daughter, because we do homeschool now, that's part of their work, their class is financial literacy.
Whoa.
I teach them financial literacy. My 11-year-old told his 18-year-old sister, she was talking about getting another credit card, and he told her, like, nah, you should do that and put your money this way. And she was like, how the hell do you know? He was like, because Daddy taught us in the financial literacy class we got to take now. So he knows, he's learning. So it's up to us now. We started to see it because, like, our parents, they 60, 70 years old, they didn't know that. So now you got a generation of us where we are in a better situation than our parents. Absolutely. So it's up to us now. We understand this as black males. We got to put our crown and adjust our crowns first. And then with our lineage is what's important. You got these businesses. You got these opportunities now where they living abroad. How are we able to do this? So I know in my house, I tell my kids, you notice that you ask them about so-and-so, but they can't do what we do. They got to put in for the 2-week notice or whatever. We just pick up and say, we want to go, we go. And y'all been doing this your whole life down there, so it's like, everybody, y'all don't understand nothing different, And we go out here balling and doing them dumb shit. Yep. We keep everything chill because we know y'all got a special life, but y'all don't need to know the situation. It's just you're special. It's a little different.
It's like a little different. Yeah, breaking the cycle, breaking that generational curse. And I was just joking around with my boys. For some reason, they brought up like living in the projects, and it dawned on me because they've been in private school their whole life, and it dawned on me to be like, yo, I've never lived in a project, but I've been in the projects and met, had family and hung out. I was like, y'all never even stepped foot. I was just laughing at my 14-year-old and my 11-year-old. Y'all never even stepped foot in the project. Y'all never even never even seen it. So they're like, nah, my 14-year-old, he like to joke around and play. Dad, I can navigate. I was like, just stop. Private school, and it's a blessing. It's not anything that I don't even want you to live that life, but it's a blessing to me, and they don't understand how my mindset or my mentality is. I don't even want that, but it's also just funny to actually being able to give them that opportunity and giving them that new path that we wasn't able to get when we were younger growing up. So it's just, it's trying to break a generational curse and give our kids and our youth and everybody the knowledge to continue building, to continue growing, be better than your parents, and just keep leveling up. So this way, as the time goes on, we don't even have to have this conversation anymore. Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah,
I think the answer to your question is 2 simple words: white supremacy and capitalism.
Okay.
It rolls into 2 words, right? Now I don't know which one come in front of the other because they kind of intertwine and overlap. That's true. White supremacy create capitalism, or which way it goes. But those are the two things, right? So it's like as long as you have those two things, the basis of that is a hierarchy, and that need to be, you know, this group is going to be here, and in order for this group to be here, they need to create scarcity and limitation, and they need to do whatever they can to keep the other group down here. So that's why you got we need to have all the worker bees in order for us to maintain kingdomship.
Yeah,
whatever,
and it's like
right?
an artificial ceiling.
So that's the reason why, and that's the reason why, like we're homeschooling too, right? Because the textbooks, like we got degrees, we know, and now we find in history that we didn't know, right? There are things that like we realize and like, oh, the book said this. But I was watching this video because now, and this person had this book that was banned that tells me something else, and it's like these mofos done switched the books on me.
Exactly.
Right? So now we're finding books like. I was just watching a video about the Ethiopian Bible, right? And it's just like,
Oh, that's the OG.
so we're just like, okay, now we're finding the stuff that y'all been hidden from us.
Yeah.
And now we're like, okay, I can't trust any of this shit.
Yeah.
I can't trust my kids to go to school in the States or any kind of U.S.-based school knowing that the history in the book or what they teach in the book is the real truth.
And people don't know that the Ethiopian Bible has the book of Enoch.
Yes.
That people don't even realize, and that was removed from
3 times bigger.
Yeah.
So think about it.
Yeah.
You got all the books in there.
Yep.
All the books.
Everything.
Everything in there. People don't even know.
Yeah,
It's
so
crazy.
much history. Like even last night, we were flipping through the TV after we came home last night from the play, and it was like shows on TV. And it was like Underground Railroad. You know, watch that. I was like, no, we can't do it. I can't. I just don't have the capacity for any more of those shows. I want to watch a Black King show.
Yeah.
Where is that show?
Where is that?
Right? Like where is the show with the Black King?
Black Panther.
Who's rich? You know?
Black Panther.
Yeah.
Right.
But if it's a TV show, it gets canceled in one
That's all
season.
we got, right? It's like I cannot do another slave show. I don't have the capacity for a slave show or a slave book.
I feel like that's another form of, me and my wife talk about, that's another form of kind of oppression of like, they put that out there and they want you to see it and they want you watching it. If you're showing your kids that, and it's kind of trapping them in that mindset of, you know, this is what we are and this is all we can be. And, you know, a little bit. It's just a little bit of systematic, in my mind, oppression of people watching that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you try to put out positive, uplifting messages and try to make sure you're not always hitting them with things that, you know, unfortunate. I mean, you want to give them the history, but you also don't want to like promote it by watching a movie and like, let's get some popcorn and watch this movie. Like, we went to Ghana and went to the slave castles, and we were fortunate enough to bring our 2 boys, and there was people in there taking pictures for the gram, and we in the slave castles and navigating the cells and the chambers. And me and my wife were so mad because everything is not for pictures. Everything is not a photogenic moment. We were just taking it in and understanding like these are where the slaves were, you know, kidnapped and brought to, and before they were shipped out. And I was just like, it was just bugged out that they would just be like, oh, let's just take pictures and smile, say cheese next to the banister, next to the hook where they have cuffed up, and it'd be like, wait up a second, can you just not do that in front of us? You know, we kept it cool, but we were not happy about the situation. But it was a good moment for the kids to kind of like understand the history in that capacity. I feel like there's different ways to show your history, but not like watching the movies. I don't feel like that's necessary.
The whole taking picture thing is the thing. Even last night at the play, they was like, you know, record. I was like, no, I'm trying to watch it.
Yeah.
You can't
be in
watch
a moment.
something and be present
while
recording a video of yourself in the selfie. Like it just don't work. It's not a thing, right? You can't be present in that moment, right?
There should be no phones in the theater, man.
Right. So how can you sit there and learn the history while you're really trying to get the angle and the light?
Yeah.
It don't work.
I'm gonna break out. I got my boy
All right,
soccer
bro.
game going on.
Yeah, it's a good talk, man.
Likewise, hopefully we can run this back.
Yeah. Hey, can you take my number down?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely want to at least follow all of y'all and make sure we connect, because I will be living here soon.
I want to know you got that real estate going.
Oh man, yes.
If I can,
Yes.
Yeah, I sold a place for a thing or two. I had a place outside of Kissimmee.
Okay. We're going to keep the conversation going, or we done?
Oh yeah, we're gonna keep going, man.
That's why I was like,
I'm gonna call it.
let me break out with my kids. It's like, yo, Dad, we got the game. What's going on? Where you at?
All right. Just hit me, bro.
My wife gonna hit me up in a minute. Y'all still running?
Y'all must be doing a half marathon out here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it one too, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going
Next weekend.
All right.
All right, chat. We out of here.